That's better. Okay, so second live for tonight, and I'm not advertising these while I'm doing these with a whole lot of fluidness, because I need to see which pathway is the best way to get in here. So if you're seeing this as a reel and you're going, who is this really awkward lady on the screen? Well, that would be me, Tabetha, and I am a psychic high performance coach. And that means that I get to the nitty gritty that nobody else sees in your limiting belief system that I call trauma coding. Okay. So, stars are disabled. I've got a white star, not a yellow star. Now I'm doing my best to remember this tonight so that I can see the best way to come in. Bottom of the screen is different. And I'm just trying to see if having that yellow star in the top left screen is the way not to do it. So I'll just sit here for a moment and see if anybody jumps on. Okay. So what I've just said on the last video, which will be made a reel, is a reminder to anybody out there that is considering going and getting an ADHD diagnosis because they suspect, or an autistic assessment. Go and do it. It's like anything in life. When you don't understand what you're dealing with, and a lot of the time you'll find I'm talking about narcissists, psychopaths, etc. When you don't know what you're dealing with, you don't know how to go forward. It's the same when you don't know who you are. And yay, we've got one viewer, so I think I've done this right this time. If you don't know what you're dealing with yourself, it makes life that much harder. So please, if you've got an inkling, a small inkling that maybe you are neurodivergent, go and ask your GP to see if you can go and get an assessment. Because what we now know about being divergent is there are so many different types of ADHD, there are so many different types of being autistic, and then you can start asking the questions, you know, is part of your behaviour trauma related, or is it neurodivergent related? Is it a combination of both? We talk about attachment styles all the time in psychology, but we don't talk about the empath combination with the neurodivergence, with the trauma. So that's my little spiel for the day. If you would like me to connect with you, please say hi in the comments. Again, I'm still testing out the best way to get in to these lives and create these lives on Facebook. Facebook just keeps tweaking the pathways, and that's fine. I will keep figuring them out. So here we are, Monday night. Don't normally do a live on Monday night, but I've just got to be a little bit fluid at the moment with the space that I have. So, oh, that was interesting. The space that I have. Okay. And the space that I have with the flickering lights is actually solar. So that was intriguing because there's nothing else running. Okay, so I can't sit here and talk to myself forever. Please come and say hi. If you see this as a recording later on, even jump in the comments afterwards and say hi. Yeah. Otherwise, I shall disappear fairly shortly. Okay. Unless there's something else I need to say. Housekeeping. It's become really, really obvious as to why my publication isn't starting. I've got more things to do behind the scenes that all add up to the sum total of relaunching. So I'm doing my best not to judge myself. I've had a huge meltdown this week because something was triggered, and then there was something else that came in on top of that that's made me look at things in a different light in many different directions. So that's been really cool post meltdown. Meltdowns are never great when you're in them. However, they do provide a lot of insight. So, and let's be fair, I haven't got this good at what I do by living and having an easy life. It's because I've gone through it and processed it and picked the hell out of it and dissected everything so that those new realizations come to pass. So please come and say hi now that I know that I've got people watching. I understand if you don't want to. Again, it's just I don't want to sit here and talk to myself forever and a day, so please say hi. You don't have to talk to you. Just say hi, don't tune to me if that's what you want to do. Yeah. So I'm getting used to this new space. There's a lot of organisation going into living in a smaller space, that's for sure. Okay. All right, I'm going to leave it there. People watching this will figure out that I'm going to jump on maybe a little bit more often. It'll depend how the days go, but it's not all based around the Thursday night now. Nolene, well, hello, you're on holiday. You're not the only one in my life on holiday, that's good. So I'm kind of having a little bit of a holiday where I've got people in my life on holiday. Okay. Thank you, Nolene, for jumping on and making me realise that I'm not sitting here talking to myself. Okay, so that is really cool, Nolene, that you're on holiday, because we've talked about you unplugging and looking after you, etc., etc. So, Nolene, do you want me to connect to you, or do you want to continue having your holiday? You let me know. I don't know whose voice that is that comes in when I do that. Audrey, kia ora, hello. Yay. Yes, yay, you're on holiday. Okay. I'm just waiting for Nolene to tell me if she does want me to connect with her. And if she doesn't, I will ask Audrey the same question. There we go. And there we go. Oh, not at all. Okay, Nolene, you're good. When I'm reading things like this, you're going to have to be a little bit more direct, and with my autistic brain, so yes. Okay, this is interesting. So this is all about communication today. All right. So you want me to communicate with, I'm piecing the pieces together here. Hi, Melissa. It's so good to know that this is the way to come in from now on. Nolene, just say, yes, I want you to tune in to me. Something like that, and then I'll know. Otherwise, I'm kind of going backwards and forwards and not remembering what I just said because I've moved on, etc. Okay. It's always really interesting waiting for, sometimes there's a bit of lag on the lives. And I've got better at sitting patiently in there. I can see why I wouldn't have done this like 15 years ago. I would have been way too self-conscious. Okay. Just give Nolene another minute or two. Another minute or two. Another minute or two. was something behind me. It's actually Nolene's profile picture. Thought, what's all that red? Yeah, not me. Okay. All right. Yes, thank you, Nolene. Okay, so let me just recap what we've picked up from you. The multi-board unplugging, working in mental health. You're on holiday, and I seem to be cleaning my new dining table of all the dust. And I've got my laptop to my left, my iPad to my left. So, scratching my head, scratching my forehead. So I'm getting the sense that you want to try something new or doing something in a slightly different way. The scratching the head is like I've got this little visiony thing, but I don't know how to execute. Or, no, it's not an or, it's an and. I'm sensing that you're not quite sure of who you should go and share this thought, this concept with. And you feel a little bit like when it comes to articulating this idea that you feel like some days you're standing on your head, and it shouldn't feel that hard to share this. So let me know if any of that resonates, because that was all quite different. Again, you can always tell when I've processed something on my own for myself, because I start diving in and unpacking things for people in a slightly different manner, which is quite cool to see that unfolding, I'm sure, or maybe not. Okay, so we'll just wait for Nolene. I've actually just seen, I tend to watch TikTok at night when I'm a bit tired, and I just saw Tyler Henry, the medium in the States, has gone in for is there brain surgery or something, so hope he's okay. That sounds absolutely horrific. One of my in-laws has had brain surgery, and for the second time actually. So, but as a medium, that would be quite freaky. My hesitation with getting my ADHD assessment, coming back to that at the beginning, is I don't want it messing around with my intuition. So that's been my hesitation until recently, and now I'm just like, I want to know if it's going to help me streamline my executive function to get stuff done easier. And with how I assess the hell out of everything, I figure I will know what the medication is doing to me intuitively as well, and whether or not I need to stop. So Melissa Rose says, come on, tell me Knowles, laugh out loud, our little convos are always safe. Oh, that's funny. Okay. Yep, so Nolene's probably typing away. Facebook will probably get to the point where you can answer these with a voice note. I do know that my life has changed lately with the new things I've been doing, and there's lots of voice notes going backwards and forwards. Especially when you're dealing with the other side of the planet and people can't get on at the same time because you've moved on with your different routines. Okay, Elizabeth, Nolene has said 100%. I would like to do more in mental health, wouldn't we all? I walked out of a different supermarket yesterday, and there was a booth for something for mental health. Okay, so what do? How do we help Nolene? If Nolene is feeling like she's standing on her head, then we are probably dealing with a lack of self-worth, Nolene, and the fear of rejection, which would indicate to me sitting here right now how sensitive you are. and I can, this part of my body is just getting really hot as I say to you, being that sensitive. Okay, so getting it out through social media, yeah. So the rejection the rejection sensitivity is obviously quite high. So what I'm getting to talk to you about, Nolene, is attracting a little bit more support so that you can talk things through. Not so much the pre-nerves before you hit the send button and do the social media. It's more afterwards. We just never know what to expect. So anything that you can do around working with your own system, to unplugging events in your life where people didn't show you the right support, that laughed or mocked you, to find out what the trauma coding is in and around that. Because the more that I do this work and the more that I understand that rejection sensitivity, the more I understand that there are key phrases that were set up, you know, and layers of, like, you're not just dealing with one event, with one piece of trauma coding. And my hands out on the table, so that to me is a signal that there's like at least 5 layers of either being misunderstood, misheard, labelled when you were younger at different points, different ages in your past, being lied to, for people taking advantage. And the last one on my thumb, people getting a bit argumentative, actually. So that's the thumb looking different to the fingers is probably a bit of a hook in there. So there's a bit of stuff with conflict in there as well, and none of us like, most of us don't like conflict, especially not us empaths sitting on this page. Part of identifying what's happened in the past that set up the lack of self-worth, which sets up the rejection sensitivity dysphoria, is, I knew I was going to go blank then. I went way further than I anticipated. We'll just let that float back in, and sometimes just even saying that is enough to start clearing it. Now, part of the reason, and I keep coming back to this, tonight seems to all be about ADHD assessments. That is something that happens with people with ADHD, so you want to know. If you're opening up your intuition and you're clearing and you're a healer, it also happens. Now, I might come back to that, or I might have cleared it. Knowing the difference is the key. Okay? Yeah. There we go, touching my nose. Audrey, hello again. Oh, okay, you've shared it. Good. It's, again, Facebook changes it. Okay, so Nolene, normally on a psychic's page you would expect a confirmation about whether or not you should do it. That's not the game that I play. I'm not an insurance broker, and you know that long enough from sitting here long enough. So protecting yourself by continuing your personal development is key. Getting really, really specific about what you're really nervous about with sharing this, and perhaps on a bigger scale, if I was in your shoes, I would use the breath work to actually ask your system for your internal guidance on who would be the best person, and get out of your head, because that's where we ruminate about being nervous, right? So I would ask for where those allies really are, because sometimes we, without looking deep enough, think our allies are on the left and actually they're on the right, weirdly enough. So there we go. And mental health is a really full-on place to work. So no amount of journey work for yourself is ever going to go amiss. Ever. Okay, Nolene, I'll leave that with you. You can always go back, well, at least for 30 days now. You can go back and replay that. Although I will, going forward, now that I'm not doing these in the car, I will put these on YouTube so you can go back. I think if you look at Recalivibe on YouTube, I'll come up, or Tabetha Dowson, one of the two. I still haven't done my big launch. Like I said earlier, there's a reason for that. There's just covered a whole lot more stuff that I've got to do to be able to do that on the level that I want to this time. So, yeah. All right. Okay. So, Melissa, let me know that you're still there, and then I can tune into you. Just say yes, please tune into me or something, and we'll get started. Athena, hello, kia ora. I'm just waiting for Melissa. Melissa might have disappeared. Melissa doesn't normally disappear. Melissa is not shy. So I'm just going to be patient. And one of the things about unmasking is it puts you in a place where you choose to not be too concerned about appearing awkward. I am awkward. Unmasking makes you more awkward outwardly, and if you've done enough work, then you don't need to pick up the other person's awkwardness about you being awkward. You're just there. Okay, so Melissa is still there. Right, let's see. Okay, back to your eyes, Melissa. It's all about your eyes. And crossing your T's. Now, we're not all about the detail. Oh dear, it's funny. Again, go and get these assessments done, people, so you know what you're dealing with. Okay, Melissa. I feel like you had something gifted to you in some form. That's a really generalized way of saying it. And my hands are spread out and my fingers are spread out. I feel like something has literally just slipped through your fingers. What am I going to say to that? The usual metaphoric line would be, if it is yours, it wouldn't have gone. And sometimes when things slip through, they have to regroup and come back in a different format. And being detached from the outcome and not being attached to losing people when you move and shift and change and transform is the art that needs to be practiced. So let me know if any of that lands. There's my nose. And yes, we're a month out from Christmas, and that brings some other pressures as well, and some weird deadlines in terms of relationships. And I always look forward to Boxing Day because, whew, guess what? All that pressure is gone. And people get back to the beach. Right. So we'll just wait for Melissa. Wait for Melissa. And thank you everybody for jumping on. I didn't advertise this because that's how it's going to be now. So that's cool. I just have to remember which way I'm going to go in. Go in. Go in. Nothing like a little bit of indigestion. And yes, if you can hear a noise, it's my very loud fridge in the RV. It's a beautiful fridge. Considering it's running on solar, it's amazing. Okay, so waiting for Melissa to finish typing. And I'll just chill out here for a minute. Chilling out. Chilling out. Again, people have to decide how much they divulge in a public forum like that too. But a simple yes would suffice. Dun, 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 dun. And sometimes people run out of data on their phones. Sometimes people get called for big changes. I believe they definitely resonate. Okay, yep. So you weren't quite sure what to say, but that was a yes. Okay, because I'm feeling like that's enough said. I don't need to go into that any further. Okay, now that was interesting because I started reading and I got your hands and slipping through your fingers, and then I just clicked that whatever was not in alignment in my wrist. So, keyword alignment, obviously. Your questions to yourself, your gentle questioning, your compassionate inquiry questions to yourself would be around what is it that triggers me not into alignment, out of alignment. See, that's me unmasking my words. I feel like I've got baby brain some days. Who, how, when, where. Oh, there's the alarm next door. Interesting timing. When did I first learn that being out of alignment was normal? That might be a good one. Another question would be, am I addicted to being misaligned generally in my life? You might get other questions in and around those. Those questions asked often enough through the next week would start to create a little bit of a shift. And depending on how empathic and how intuitive you are, you might see some new signs come in. If you get triggered, you might find that your perception, your lens changes a little bit on how you're looking at it. And that's the thing with healing, right? The more we heal, the more our perspective of something changes and or deepens. So widens and deepens. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Okay, I am going to leave it there. I'm going to do my best with that siren going. It's 2 cats next door in a commercial building, causing some issues with the alarm. We've just found out it's not birds, it's 2 cats. So, sending love to the cats. I'm just going to wait for Melissa to come in to tell me if she collected that or not, and then I'm going to sign off. Yes, I do work under pressure, and it's been some interesting pressure in my life. However, that alarm is not something I'm choosing to do battle with, because I don't know how that's turning up on your side of the screen. Yes. Because that could be more irritating for you than it is me. I don't know how, but last night I actually managed to write a blog or redo a blog last night for my website. I think just because I was like, no, this is not going to win, but this is a very different vibe and energy, and I have to be patient and still when I do these lives, and that's not the same energy. So I'll just wait for Melissa to come on again, say what she needs to. So, and again, I don't know if I'll be on tomorrow night. It just depends on how things roll. There is a high chance. We'll just see. Just being in the new space. So I'll just see what Melissa has to say. Gosh, that alarm. Don't be alarmed, it's just an alarm. At least, Melissa, you can go back and check when I was delivering to you on what statement did that alarm go. Thanks, that made a lot of sense and honestly feels exactly where we're at with a bit, especially certain people that throw my light off. Addicted would be a word, but also I'd say I'm becoming unaddicted. Yep, so you know that that's a word that you can use to unpack things. And the more healing that we do, hi Rhea, people are unable to throw you off. Oh, right. Okay. You get what I'm saying. Keep developing. Keep asking yourself what it is in your coding that is throwing you off alignment. And keep working with yourself. You are all you have. That's probably the biggest message of the day with this and the night with this live. You are the biggest asset in your life. You are really all you have at the end of the day. So the more that you work with yourself, the more that you're going to get out of this life. Yeah. All right. Okay, that's enough for me because that is enough of that alarm. Yes, I'm going to deal with that outside of the live. Nice to meet you too, Afina. I'm going to relax now. Yeah, the cats need to go to sleep so that I can get back to doing the dishes. All right, everybody, thank you. I will post this onto my YouTube channel, and I will see you on here at some point in the future. How's that for a very broad, generalized statement? All right, guys, have a good night.